Tony Britt Spotter Charts serves sports media exclusively with customized cheat sheets for both prep and game time. Serving over 350 clients at all major networks, 23 NFL teams, and 68 college football programs, including Division II, Division III, and NAIA schools. Variable pricing ensures that small schools receive the same VIP service as ABC, CBS, ESPN, Fox, NBC, and the NFL Network. Ray's Barbershop provides first-class service, haircutting, and shaves since 2010. With 6 locations located within the Quad Cities area, Ray's Barbershop has been voted the Quad Cities' favorite barbershop year after year. Ray's goes above and beyond to make sure your level of satisfaction is met. You won't find the Ray's experience anywhere else. Stop in today and let them help you reinvent yourself. Welcome to the Viking Press Pass. I am Matthew Nickel, and joining me today is in his 14th season as the women's basketball head coach, Mark Beinborn. So, Mark, great to connect again.
Thank you for having me. Excited to talk with you.
Absolutely. Well, I know you have a short window because you have a Bears Packers party you got to get to, so I won't keep you too long. But before we kind of turn to this year and this team, I want to start a little bit with just kind of a moment of reflection, on last year. And, when you sat down to reflect on last year, if you had to write down maybe 2 or 3 things from the season that were either takeaways, that you wanted to carry over, you wanted to develop and work on, what were, maybe a couple of those things that you wrote down?
Well, one, I always start with me. I think that I have a drive and a desire, and especially I think as I get older, they say men mature later sometimes, but, I have a desire to be a better coach, to be a better person, to be able to handle difficult situations better and be able to handle, pushing them, challenging them, while doing a better job of making sure that we build the relationship so we understand why I'm pushing and challenging, and that I do believe in you, that I'm going to be tough on you just because I want you to be your best. So I think it starts with me. What can I do better? How can I get us better prepared? Next, a big takeaway was we grew a lot last year, from beginning of the year where we struggled to score. We turn it over a ton. That's still something that we're trying to continue to get better and better with our I think focus, basic fundamentals, more jump stops, little things that we started that we really emphasized last year. You look at our difference from game 1 Wesleyan last year, where we got beat by 38, I believe it was, to the last game of the year where we got beat by 12. Turned it over less, fought harder, showed more toughness. And I think that's the big step, is coming into this year, our ball control, valuing every possession, not letting offensive struggles or lapses, which are going to happen. You're going to have moments where just shots aren't falling. Right. Keep playing defense, keep the energy, keep our head up, and I think we did a good job showing that growth last year with a very young team. And let's be honest, we still have 5 upperclassmen on this roster. Or 6 upperclassmen on the whole roster, 5 that are playing right now. So we have a lot of youth, but it's that growth that we made. And for us, we want that to be the springboard of us continuing to build off of that and learn. And I think they've done a good job of doing that. We've played, a lot of tough games, showed a lot of toughness, stayed together. We're playing together. We're making better decisions. But we still have some room to grow here right now.
Well, you mentioned that, I know when we talked last year to kind of kick things off, you talked about like your biggest weakness was just that the team was young, just 2 seniors. they've since graduated. Those four juniors are now seniors, two sophomores are juniors, and now you've got, seven sophomores and five freshmen. Um, and you mentioned you were kind of in the middle of that growth curve, and that the incoming freshman class helped improve things like ball handling, quickness, just some of the athletic, aspect, right, that they can bring to the team. But what does that kind of growth curve look like this year for the team now that they've had a season kind of under their belt? And now you've got, like you said, six upperclassmen, seven sophomores, and what you would imagine, right? Five freshmen that came in. So that's probably a little bit more realistic of what a turnover year would look like.
Yeah, I think that they did a great job of, because last year I think we genuinely liked each other. Um, but we didn't know each other. We didn't know each other on the floor. We didn't, reads. You can tell players that have played together for years. Once um, I know you're going to cut. I know, and those are things that we just misread a lot last year. We had to really get to know each other. I think that between our trip to Spain in the spring
Hmm.
and the summer, the work they put in the summer, and then all off season, they came back in better shape. They understood. Our sophomores understood the preparation that's expected in the off season and did a great job. Everybody did a great job, but incoming freshmen rarely know. Oh yeah, I'm in the gym. I'm working. No, doing the conditioning, getting the weight training in, like actually doing that all summer. And I think our group did a really good job of doing that. I think that it went from genuinely liking each other to, I think, having a genuine love and respect for each other, and they play for each other. Now, um, our senior group has shown phenomenal leadership, their maturity, their concern for their teammates over themselves, um, and really trying to bring the group together and build those relationships has been phenomenal. We talk about our two juniors with Jazzy and Paige, and they just put in tons of work like they've been doing since they stepped on campus, and their maturity, and I'm going to shout out Jazzy Jones because I think she's a very strong athletic kid who's got a great work ethic. She's tough. She shoots the ball extremely well. And her biggest thing the last 2 years was just getting over her own confidence and coming
Hmm.
into her own. And I've seen her since the spring. Again, Spain, she just started competing and playing hard, and she's not overthinking, and she's moving on to the next play. So maturity wise, I've just seen a big growth in that sophomore class. The difference from last year to this year from a physical standpoint, and a emotional maturity, I think was a big step. Again, do we have room to grow still? Yes, but I think they all took a huge step together, uh, and they really believe in each other. And I think that's been, one of the biggest differences. And again, we faced a couple, we've lost two straight this week, right?
Hmm.
Number 13, Illinois Wesleyan, great battle, heartbreaking loss. So, but they also understand that last year between Webster, Platteville, Wesleyan, all these teams that we've played so far, they all kind of whooped us early last year.
Hmm.
So now we just need to learn in those tight situations how to win those close games together. And I believe this group is more than capable of figuring that out. Again, they're still together. They came back this morning stronger than we left last night. They're all on the same page. We had a great talk, and they're ready to keep learning, keep growing, and they know that we're scratching the surface, and they're showing up every day to get better, and that's their mindset. So, and again, I think that's all maturity.
100%. And you mentioned a few times the Spain trip, because back in May is when the team went over to Spain, and you had that friendly game with Club Olympico. And tell us a little bit about that trip, because especially when you think about, right, you had mentioned the team had a general likeness for each other, but you can really use a trip like that to form a ton, an even stronger bond. It's a really cool life experience that you get to go and do. And I think it's amazing that Augustana affords, these young women to go experience that. That's super cool. Um, Talk just a little bit about that trip and how you think that again kind of propelled the team forward, and just generally what was it like over there?
Well, it's a nice reminder on perspective because again, it's bigger than basketball, right? Basketball is a game we get to play. Yes, it's college athletics, so there's competitiveness, there's pressure, there's whatever you want to add and throw onto that. But ultimately, what are we doing? We're playing a game that we all fell in love with at one point. So when you go there and you travel, you learn history, and then you play, like you said, friendly games that also are still you know, competitive people who want to beat you, and you're farthest from a home game that you've ever been. So you're not going to get any favors, from the refs. It's more physical as far as hands on, you know, in what's called versus the hand checking that we like to call here. So what was great about the team within those friendly games is we had, some physical games over there. Um, and one in particular it was beautiful because it was physical, like to the point where we're getting people on the ground, we're getting a little frustrated, and I saw a point where we started to fight and we started to fight together versus like, oh, they're fouling, oh, it's this. You can't worry about how the refs are calling it, you can't worry about and control what they're doing. What you can do is be strong with the ball, work together, fight together. And I saw a big step just happen in real time in our second game there. And I think coming back from that, it was just a carryover of we started to fight for each other and build really some real trust within each other. Um, and like I said, the bonding time you get off of that, oh, whether it's a long day walking around in 90-degree heat in Madrid, being on a bus after traveling day after day, but you start to see those kind of everybody start to interact, everybody start to build some stronger bonds, and I think the trip was a huge success overall for us. And again, it always is. Perspective matters in life, and perspective is only gained. You can't be told. We all try to teach young people perspective, but till
Yep.
you go through some things, and when you're on a trip like that again, every trip, and I've talked about this before, but when you go on an international trip, you travel essentially overnight to get there. And every trip we get on, we arrive about 8 in the morning from an all night flight. And guess what's the first thing you do? You get on a bus and you go on a tour. It's exhausting, right? So then you're hungry, you're tired, but guess what, guys? We're in Spain. Let's enjoy this. We can't whine about, oh, it's hot. Oh, how much longer are we going to walk?
Yeah.
And those are things that happen on every trip. And, I think just those little things that test you, that stretch you as a human being, we either in any situation in life can, fall victim to whining about it. Oh, complain. This is not a perfect situation, or we can just embrace it and grow. And I just saw them that week push through, a lot of travel, a lot of hot days, a couple tough games, and just like I said, grow together and continue to bond. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great trip.
Yeah, the pictures looked awesome. That was posting on X, and some folks that are putting on Facebook. So yeah, that looked like a ton of fun. And like selfishly, I'm like, man, I gotta join in one of these trips. I either gotta like, go with the football team when they go over, go follow, one of the basketball teams, or I'm like, can I even get a like an assist and go down to Florida with the baseball team? Like I want to do
Right,
one
right.
of these, right? Like that'd be a ton of fun. Um,
Well, listen, you are officially invited. Everybody here can witness it. You are officially invited on our next trip if you want to come with us. I'll
Hey,
keep you
all
posted.
right. I'll let my wife know. So I think she'd enjoy that too.
Good. Yep.
Um,
Come.
well, hey, let's talk about the current season. I mean, the Vikings, you guys are 6 games in. And when you talk, we talked about the same time last year, and you had said you were not expecting the team to be playing great basketball at that time, right? It was a lot about development. You were kind of coaching slowly. Now you 6 games into this season. How have like the expectations changed, at this point in the year versus maybe last year?
A ton. I think again, this group returning what we returned, playing the way that we kind of saw that growth happen throughout the year last year, the way we finished versus the way we started, got a lot more competitive. And now for us, and even starting, we started off. I think we're playing. I think we're playing really good basketball. I don't think we've peaked. I think we have a lot of room for growth, but we've been either a beating some teams, you know, fairly with a good margin, or we've been in a few close games that we've
Mhm.
just fallen short on, and that's all part of life, part of the basketball journey, and learning to win those tight situations. And I think that this team has some high expectations for themselves. I still like to approach one game at a time, thinking we're capable of winning every game we step out on the floor. We don't need to look beyond what we're doing right now, even look beyond the first 20 minutes. It's
Mhm.
what are we doing right now? Whatever just happened, missed shot, turnover, we get down and now we start a new possession. It's the next play. And this group, I think, has done a phenomenal job on that early on with um, just moving on, playing with a lot of toughness. I think last night a little bit got to us when we weren't hitting our shots early, because we have been shooting the ball extremely well as a group in
Mhm.
our first 5 games. And when things didn't go as well offensively, I think I think we let it get to us a little bit. It affected our energy, our communication on defense, and they're very well aware of it. They're as disappointed or more than I am. Um, I would say equally,
Mhm.
but they know it, and it's something that we talked about today. And um, I don't see them feeling defeated. I don't see them feeling like, oh, I think they're like, okay, we let that one slip against a good team who showed a lot of toughness and they played well and they deserved that win. But we can't give up a 23-point quarter by not communicating, giving up a couple layups in transition for a lack of communication because we were frustrated in what just happened on the other end. We haven't been doing that. That's not who we are. And again, just learning to play through that, and not letting those emotions slip in to affect our play. And I thought they did a great job in the second half of bouncing out of that. We addressed that at
Mhm.
halftime. I told them at halftime, I don't understand who showed up here today, but I want my team to come out with me in the second half. And I think they did. But sometimes when you dig yourself a little bit of that hole, it's a little bit of a challenge to get out of. And I think we fought like heck to do it. And again, fell short, and that's something we'll learn and grow from. But um, I love this group. I love the way they're competing. I love the way they come and support each other and willing to grow. And they're, even today in our conversation, I had 3, 4 players just raise their hand like, I got frustrated earlier because I was missing my shots and I let it affect me. It won't, like that's my fault. Just acknowledging, taking responsibility, and for me, that's a huge step. That's a huge step. I love how honest this group is with each other, and I think that's going to allow us to continue to grow, to learn how to pull through in those tough situations. Um, and I believe we have it in us. But I'm proud of what they're doing, and those losses, like anything in life, great opportunity for us to learn and grow from.
Well, I mean, those are going to be important. Those tight situations, especially, Illinois Wesleyan was the first CCAW, but play. But once you jump into conference play, we start getting into the end of the season here. Games are going to continue to be tight, and it's like, well, that's not unfamiliar territory for this team. Um, so again, it can kind of calm the nerves a little bit, and it's like, hey, we can do this. We can come back. We can, or we can sustain this lead. Like we know how to play in those situations. So again, like you said, it's a great learning opportunity so early in the season and against one of the best teams in the country. So
Yeah.
and show you're hanging right there. And I was looking at some of the stats, and the Vikings, like you talked about how you're shooting, 43% from the field. That's 4 points better than last year. And shooting almost 31% from three as opposed to like 25, 26%. And do you believe it's the team is creating better looks at the basket, or is it simply just a case of like, hey, shots are just falling, a little bit more this year? Where do you think that success is coming from?
I think there's a little bit of a balance. Again, the work they put in to continue to improve. I think they're that year. There's some more confidence that I see some of them playing with, but I think we're creating better shots for each other. You look at our assists. We're sharing the ball, making extra passes, feeding our cutters. Where last year, even once we started to figure out what we're doing offensively, we're getting the cut, we're getting the right read on the screen, and we get the dive. We weren't ready to pass it. We were too, we missed a lot of those. I think now they're again that familiarity with each other, understanding what we're doing, and the unselfishness this group is playing with. And to be honest, I think at times it's a weird balance, but too unselfish in moments for some of us. I think there's times where we talked about it today. Callie, Paige, where they're in a situation in the paint where they have the advantage and they're trying to make the extra pass to somebody. That I want them doing when they're double teamed. But when you got a one-on-one right there in your spot, go to work. And they're trying to find that balance. They want to be on. They know they have teammates that can score. But again, I think at times being a little too unselfish, trying to be such a great teammate, which is a great problem that we can fix. And I think that's just finding that balance can be hard at times but I think that's why we had the conversation we had today.
Mm-hmm.
Other teammates were telling them, like, hey, we believe in you. We believe, and they were just supporting each other. And that matters because if we can walk away understanding that make or miss in some of these situations, everybody's got our back. And we got to stop putting pressure. I think they put pressure on themselves. I got to do this. No, just go play every moment, compete and work together and support each other. And again, sometimes we put unnecessary pressure on ourselves to do certain things. We don't need anybody to go out there and be a hero for us. We have a lot of talent. Just keep playing together, trust, support, and we're going to be okay.
Well, absolutely. And, the Vikings, showed last year like anybody can be hot. Callie, Audrey, Emma, who graduated, Paige, like, Carly, she can shoot it from
Yeah,
the corner. Like at any point, it's anybody's night. So again, continue to feed the hot hand, you know,
yeah,
continue to get that trust
yeah,
from your teammates. And it's like, hey, if it's your night, go to work. If Audrey,
yeah,
if it's your night, go to work. Jazz, if it's your
yeah,
night, go to work. So
yeah.
that's cool to
Yes.
hear.
And let's keep finding her. And that's, and again, you can't get shy because, oh, am I shooting too much, or I gotta no. If you're feeling it, go to work and let's find you. At least give you what we talk about. Doesn't mean you have to shoot it. But when we got somebody with a hot hand, just hit a couple three or a three or two, or like Tia last night, all of a sudden got a couple buckets, got some offense going for us in that third quarter, or fourth quarter, and we were feeding her. And that doesn't mean that she has to shoot it. We got to give her a look. They double and we get that kick. Let's take your shot or make the one more or attack the long closeout and let's you go to work. And again, I think that they've done a great. They're extremely unselfish, and I think they're doing a good job of finding that balance. And I think that's why we've gotten we've shot the ball so well. We are creating good shots for each other. I thought we did it last night at times, but we missed some shots early. And I think once that happened, again, you can't let your confidence go because you start off with a few missed shots. That doesn't matter.
Yep.
Just keep shooting, keep taking your shots. And I think, them continuing to support each other makes that a little bit easier. But last night was a little bit of that offensive adversity more than we had faced all year. And you know what? So be it. It's going to happen. Let's move on and learn and grow.
I thought it was interesting. Year over year, the like shot selection has been relatively consistent. And I was looking at like from three, exactly 24% of all shots are taken behind the arc, which I thought was just kind of a unique coincidence, perhaps. But, if you could, wave a magic wand and you could turn that 24% into 30%, is that, without losing that efficiency and how well the team is shooting, is that, would you do it, or do you love kind of the identity you've built around, the consistency of kind of in and out, try to feed Cali, try to feed Jazz, down in the block, get it down first, then kick it out, drive and dish. Um, would you be like, hey, I'll take that 30% and shoot it from three, or do you really like the identity you guys have kind of built around like the in and out play?
I like the idea of playing inside out. However, I'm all for. There's some times where, again, I think Jazzy needs to get more threes off a night. I think we need to make sure Carly's getting her shots, and Carly's the first to admit she hasn't shot well to start this season off, and that's okay. Carly has been putting in the work and has got her shot looking great. I see it every day in practice. I see it now. She's also had two injuries since the year started. Had a concussion, had a whiplash, so she missed a couple weeks.
Mhm.
Those things can set you back a little bit, and she's just got to get the rust off. But I'm all for her. Carly knows if she has 10 open looks in a night, I want her getting 10 open looks. And if we have any, draw in four people in the paint, I want you kicking out and let's take the shot, make the one more, and let's go ahead and take that three and let's crash. I think we shoot it well enough when we get good shots that I'm all for that little bit of boost and shooting a little bit more. I still think our balance is good. The dangerous part is getting to that point of settling for threes and we shoot
Mhm.
5 3 straight. We're off of one or two passes. And, we got somebody like Callie, Tia, Paige, who can all score inside like crazy and they don't even get a touch first. So it's just finding that balance. And we also have people that we know in transition. If we get down and get this kick to Carly right away, Carly's open, Jazzy's open on a trail, Tia's open on that trail, shoot it. It's okay. I think it's just a matter right now of that comfort, especially for those that I want shooting, a little bit higher amount volume of threes. I don't care if you miss your first two, and you shouldn't either. Go ahead and keep shooting. Get another six off, and I'm okay with that. So we're just going to keep encouraging them. I want Jazzy to shoot. She's worked so hard on her shot for years. You look at back a couple games ago, she shot the lights out, and she wasn't hesitating. Last night missed a couple, was flat on her second one, and I think she just wasn't quite as ready to shoot on the next one. She's as good of a 3-point shooter that's out there, and we have multiple people who can do that. So yes, I'd be open to it. We're not trying to keep it where we're not shooting threes. We say it all the time. We like the three, but we love layups. We love shots in the paint. That's how you get
Mhm.
to the free throw line. And we got to make sure we get that balance and get those trips there. So the 30%, I'd be welcome that with open arms.
Yeah. The other part I was looking at is, um, you know, so far through those first six games, the Vikings are holding opponents to under 55 points per game on average. That's a plus 15 on the offensive side when we're, averaging 69. And again, we had some big blowouts, but like you said, the close games are close games. But offensively, when we've won big. Um, and some of that's going to correct once you get into CCIW play, just because the level of talent is going to continue to get gonna rise. But when I'm looking at like you talked about a 4-point game with the Titans, that's awesome. A 7-point game, with Platteville. You know, when I see the growth, even just early on in the season against some really, really good teams, it's like that level of whether you call it talent or just success on the basketball court, man, it's felt like this year it's just really shrunk. and it shows a ton of growth in where this team has already started. So I can't imagine, when we get into January, where this team is going to be operating on. Um, but do you think there's something fundamentally different about the team this year that has propelled this team forward? I mean, defensively, it seems like, that's been an area that they've stepped up in how they've performed. Rebounding has been a big one, as well this year. What are some of the just kind of fundamentally do you think this team is just doing so far on the court?
I think you nailed it. Our defense, this is probably the best defensive group that I've ever had here. And when you're that good defensively and want to be that good defensively as a group, you got a chance. And again, we're really solid defensively, and as long as we learn to value every single possession offensively, and we limit some of our, I think, careless turnovers. You even look at our turnovers, it's not against, teams just because they're pressing like it was. There was times last year a team pressed the last 2 years and you saw our faces like, oh shoot,
Oh,
and we were scared.
yep.
And they're not afraid of the press. And most of our turnovers that we've had in the last, well, they didn't press last night really, but the Wesleyan game, the Webster game, most of those turnovers did not come out of the press. It was after breaking it and then maybe quickly making a rush decision to try to feed a cutter when they're all recovering back. It's not the time, right? You got to read the defense and just settle in, and now let's execute. If when we have numbers, we want to attack it. When we don't, let's execute our offense and all be on the same page. So I think it's that growth, that in making those decisions, valuing every possession. But defensively, you got people like Sierra Hall, who's come in this year, grown a ton from last year, put in some work in the offseason to get her offensive game up to where it needs to be, play with the energy and effort that she plays with. She's a very quiet, person off the court. Not quiet like shy, but just quiet. And we're like, you can't be quiet on the floor. You're going to be our energy defensive person. I need you talking. I need you diving. I need you getting deflections. And she's embraced that. And she is an elite defender. Jazzy Jones is an elite defender. Cadence has been an elite defender for us, and I think throwing them out there and them stepping up with everybody else playing their positional defense, we have a lot of good defenders. But like I said, we have a few more in there that I think, are elite, and they make our whole defense even better when they're out there on the floor. So I think the mindset of embracing that defensive mentality, letting our defense move us, and offense, let's just play. Again, outside of last night, that second quarter when it
Hmm.
kind of crept in and our defense lapsed, but we won't repeat that. And but I think that the toughness that it takes, rebounding is not a easy, pretty, glorified thing. It's something that you got to do dirty work. You got to hit. It's physical. It's aggressive. A team like Illinois Wesleyan, who's been a great rebounding team year after year, they crash like crazy. They killed us on the boards last year the first time, and the second time around we matched them on the boards. And the other night we battled and we were crashing. We were hitting on defense, making sure that they weren't getting as many offensive rebounds. So I think we've embraced doing the dirty work a little bit more. And again, I just think that's growth, mental maturity, emotional maturity, and toughness. Toughness is not an easy thing. I get it. Who doesn't like to be challenged? And for to be tougher is somebody who's really weak, whether it's mental,
Hmm.
physical, and that's hard, but we got to push for it. And this group, and some of them I've pushed harder than others at times to get tougher for us. And I'm seeing them embrace that. They're taking the challenge. They're, like I keep saying, they're supporting each other. They're pushing each other. Um, so I think we've just gotten tougher. We've gotten more mature and we've gotten tougher. And that growth, and like I said, we've grown together. Those combinations, I think, are the big difference right now.
Well, and let's take a look at the lineup, right? So we got Audrey, Jazz, Paige, Callie, and Cadence. Those have been this, starting, five through the first six games. And as I was looking at that, and it's like, man, how nice has it been to have Callie at the beginning of the season, where she missed, five or six games beginning
Yeah.
of last year. How nice has it been just to have, your center, your big girl down the middle to start the season. That's got to be a nice win just for the team.
Yes. I mean, of course, she's going to draw a lot of attention, right?
Hmm.
So everybody knows who she is. She's going to get double teams. That helps. And she's become such a better passer out of those double teams than she, was early on. Again, you have to face something like that, maybe struggle with it first, and then you mature and grow and get better. And I think she's doing a great job with that. And now it's just her recognizing again, oh, they're not doubled yet. I'm gonna score this. But it's been huge having her. And again, Tia's growth, tremendous growth, has
Hmm.
made a huge difference. Those are two formidable. You know, I don't even like to call Tia a post because she's a point forward. I always tell her she's a point forward. She's got that Jokic kind of. She can handle it. She can pass. She can shoot the three. She can post up. And Callie's ball skills have improved a ton since her stepping on this campus. So having her presence on both ends of the floor and has been huge. And she has become a better rebounder this year. She's going after things offensively that, chasing down rebounds that she didn't chase down in the past. So she's hungrier in that sense. So her presence has been huge for us on both ends.
Um, well, let's talk a little about just the freshman, class. And you talk a lot about talent and character. That's one of the things you talked about last year. When you go to recruit or when you go to hire staff, those are the two things you look at. It's how you approach recruiting. Talk a little about your freshman class and how just the talent and character kind of plays into those five that came in this year.
Well, right now, obviously, Julia has been playing, getting some minutes for us. I think Julia is as talented um, on both sides of the ball as anybody we have on the floor right now. It's just her getting comfortable and confident in the speed, the adjustment, and getting comfortable playing with a new group. Which
Mhm.
she obviously is, but again, just that confidence level of seeing some of the pressing we've seen for the first time. It's not like high school presses, and but she's phenomenal. Her work ethic's great. She can again impact both sides of the floor. She's a great defender. Works hard every day. She's a great kid. So we're very excited to have her. Very lucky to have her. Um, we've had two other freshmen who early on in this season both got hurt. We have one in crutches right now, another, and that's Sophia Semler, and then Grace Lyzak has been in a boot for. She was in a boot for 6 weeks, borderline. It's a foot issue, and we were worried about stress fractures for both of them. But Grace is back, getting back practicing with us. Both extremely talented, have a lot of potential, and they're great kids. Work hard. We just need to get them healthy. Uh, and then have another international player who reached out and really wanted to, was going to come here and has been only been playing for a few years, but she's 6'1", good athlete, and she works hard every day. And you see her developing, and another player with Abby Oster who's come in, and she just started playing like eighth grade, and has been working hard, and again shows up every day and puts in the work, is a good teammate, and they're getting some opportunities in JV to get that game time and continue to improve. So all five great kids, all five work hard, and like I said, two of them we need to get, well, one now at this point to get healthy again, but but they've made a great impact for us. They've helped make practices more competitive, adding that depth. It's been a great experience.
Now, I don't know if it was coincidence when I saw, Julia, a freshman from Spain. I'm like, well, you guys went to Spain. So now is it just a coincidence that we have a freshman from Spain? Because I'm always curious, like how does the international recruiting and international players like kind of fit in? Is it, I'm like, man, was she a byproduct of the trip? Or, is it that, hey, they have some interest in coming over with Augie's, international kind of recruiting strategy. So she's just a byproduct of that strategy. And we have, a sport that we can bring, her in, or like you talked about Tara, or Camellia. It's like, I mean, Montenegro, Morocco, and Spain. Um,
Yeah.
you know, Pretty cool. How does the international kind of work into recruiting?
So, so Julia was has been in it. Well, had been in Atlanta for a couple years for high school, so
Okay.
she's played over here. Her and we were recruiting her pretty hard. We saw film on her early in the year. She was again very unique situation because I was probably after her as hard as anybody we were recruiting last year, and it was all year, all the way into February. We still didn't get her for a visit. She was scheduled to come twice, and then something happened with the flights one time, and she had another situation with family. So our Spain trip just is, it's just a coincidence. Uh, but while we were in Spain, we did get to see her. She, came and visited, hung out with us since we were over there. But yeah, she never actually made her visit. Like I said, was scheduled to come twice. And I was like, oh, if we don't get her for a visit, it's going to be hard to get her here. We got to
Hmm.
figure this out. I was texting with her one week, and she just suddenly texted and said, is it okay for me to commit without coming to campus? And I was like, of course, like you don't have to visit, but we want you to see it so you know what you're. And she's like, no, I want to come. I've talked with, some team members enough. I've talked with the coaching staff enough. I want to come. So that was just a product of, almost a normal recruiting situation in the sense of see film, get an email, start reaching out, start building a relationship, and just so happened to be we were all in Spain in the summer or early in the summer.
All right, all right. Well, I know we got to wrap up so you can get to your Bears Packers party. So I'm gonna be mindful of that. But hey, we
Say the Bears.
what's that?
I said, why'd you say the Bears first? You mean Packers Bears?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just want
Um,
to put the emphasis on the Packers.
oh, okay. All right, Packers Bears. There you go. Packers with a capital P, Bears with a small B. There we go.
There we go. There we go. I might catch
Um,
heat for that later.
Yeah. Well, listen, well, Christmas is on the horizon, so I wouldn't do any disservice if I didn't learn what are some Beinborn family Christmas traditions.
Wow. We actually spend Christmas in a hotel every year. That's our one of our biggest traditions. Once I got to college, my family was like, because I played basketball, so we didn't have much time. So we ended up spending some time in like gathering, like, oh, let's go where I was on the road playing. We ended up doing our Christmas. And then by the time I started coaching, um, and we just started going to Dubuque. I was coaching at UD, and my family was up by Madison. My grandmother and others were in south part of Wisconsin, and we were like, let's just come to Mark and go to the hotel. So we to this day spend Christmas at the Best Western in Dubuque, Iowa, um, on the 22nd or 23rd, 24th, and have done that for. Wow, I'm 51. We've been doing that since I was probably 23 in that
Wow.
specific hotel. Yeah, yeah. So, other than that, it's again family. It's always short. We're usually practicing again by the 26th. But for me, it's family
Mhm.
time. I still value family. more than, I think those relationships and just spending time together, and in season it's hard, or I'm always busy, and I value that time that we get to spend together and get family together in that time. And then my wife loves having a Christmas party for the team. I like everybody just hanging out together and eating good food, and she likes to play minute to win it games and plan all these, like, fun things for them to do that, my brain doesn't allow me to think of,
Yep.
those games, all the things. Yeah. So she loves doing that. But yeah, it's just being able to shut down a little bit and spend some time with, the people you love.
I love it. Now, what's the favorite Christmas movie that Beinborn family sit down to watch? What goes on the TV?
I mean, Elf is is one of the that we all watch. Like for me, I think Die Hard's, still a Christmas movie. I
Yep.
don't know that that's been something that the whole family always watches, but if when it's on in Christmas season time, and my wife and I happen to be together, we'll watch Die Hard. She knows I'm always down to watch that. But I think Elf's the one that the whole family just, timing of how old our kids were when it came out, and that just became a classic pretty quickly.
Man,
I
I
still
love.
like the story too, though.
Yep. I mean, I love that you said Die Hard is a Christmas movie because I actually had it. Do you consider Die Hard a Christmas movie on here? It, because it's like, man, it takes place on Christmas Eve, and I actually watch it when Christmas Eve is when me and my wife will be down in the basement, Santa's wrapping, right,
Yeah,
and all that stuff, and I'm like, listen, if you want me to help, I need a beverage, and I want to watch Die Hard. That's it. And I will rap as much as you want. Now, I spent probably 30 minutes last year also trying to convince her, I should say, that Rambo First Blood is also a Christmas movie. Technically, it takes place in December of 1981. So I'm
that
just
is true.
saying, um, that's a little bit further stretch, but I'm like, look, there's Christmas lights. There's Christmas lights up. So
I
Die
like
Hard's
that.
a little bit easier.
Yeah, yeah. I'd go with you on that one though.
Yeah, I love
I've
it.
never
I
heard
love
that
it.
presented before. I like that. Thinking
Well, yeah,
outside the box.
if you go, yeah, when he's going into like the gun shop and doing all that stuff towards the end of the movie, there's Christmas lights up all inside of it, and it takes place in December. So I'm like, it's a Christmas movie. My wife doesn't
Yep.
quite believe that one. She's like, I'll go with you to Die Hard, but we're not gonna watch Rambo. I'm like,
Draws the
all right,
line there. That's
I'll win
that's
it.
fair. Can't win
Um,
them all.
that's right. That's right. Well, Coach, again, appreciate you spending some time with me today. Um, Vikings are on the road the rest of the month. And you guys are at Milliken, then 25 ranked Co, and then at Wash U, who's 19th ranked. So, then you guys wrap it
Yep.
up in Dubuque. At
Yep.
the Paxton Pack Classic with Loris
Yep.
and Dubuque. So, but I always encourage anyone who's around Rock Island. I challenge anyone, please get out, see a game in person, support these women, support this team, support this program, get some butts in the seats at Carver and cheer on the Vikings. So
We
again,
appreciate that.
Coach Beinborn, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you as well.
Today's episode, make sure to just subscribe to the Viking Press Pass. 4 letters, 1 year, word. 4 letters, 1 word.